Chemistry. What is chemistry? It's the scientific study of matter, its properties and interaction with other matter and with energy. The scientific method is a method for conducting an objective investigation. The scientific method involves making observation and conducting an experiment to test a hypothesis. The number of steps of the scientific method isn't standard. Here are the usual steps of the scientific method. Step 1. Make observations. Step 2. Propose a hypothesis. Step 3. Design an experiment to test the hypothesis. When you design an experiment, you're controlling and measuring variables. There are 3 types of variables: the control variable, independent variable, and the dependent variable. Step 4. Test the hypothesis. Step 5. Accept or reject the hypothesis. And finally, Step 6. Revise the hypothesis or draw conclusions. Chapter 2. Matter. Mixture is what you get when you combine two substances in such a way that no chemical reaction occurs between the components and you can separate them again. Pure substance is a sample of matter with both definite and constant composition with distinct chemical properties. We can say that pure substance have two main ideas: element and compound. Element is a substance that cannot be broken down by chemical means, and compound is a chemical species that is formed when two or more atoms join together chemically with covalent or ionic bonds. We have the conversion factor. It's a numerical ratio to express measurement from one unit to another unit. Here we can see the formula of the conversion factor. Chapter 3. Elements, atoms, and ion. As I said before, an element is a substance that cannot be broken down by chemical means, but also elements are defined by the number of protons they possess. An ion is an atom or molecule which has gained or lost one or more of its valence electrons, giving it a net positive or negative electrical charge. A cation is an ionic species with a positive charge. An anion is an ionic species having a negative charge. An atom is the defining structure of an element which cannot be broken by any chemical means. And a molecule refers to two or more atoms which have chemically combined to form a single species. The families of the periodic table are easy to learn. First we have the alkali metals, alkali earth metals, the transition metals, halogens, and the noble gases. Those are the mainly most important families of the periodic table. Chapter 4. Nomenclature. Here we have a conceptual map of how are the type of compounds. Type 1. There is one main, basic, and simple rule to know this. The cation is named first and the ion is named second. Type 2. Join with a non-metal. The cation is always named first and the ion second. Type 3. The first element in the compound is named first using the name of the element. Prefixes are used to denote the numbers of each atom present. A polyatomic ion is an ion comprised of two or more atoms. Moving to the modern atomic theory. Rutherford's atomic theory led to his belief that an atom was mostly empty space. He believed that an atom had a central nucleus. This nucleus was surrounded by electrons that were negative and orbit the atom. Niels Bohr applies quantum theory of Rutherford's atomic structure by assuming the electrons travel in stationary orbits defined by their angular momentum. This led to the calculation of possible energy levels for these orbits and the postulation that the emission of light occurs when an electron moves into a lower energy orbit. J.J. Thomson's atomic theory was based on the fact that atoms are made up of small particles. He did experiments on light traveling through a tube with charged plates on its sides. He observed that the light bent towards the positive particle, thus made up particles. The electronic configuration is the distribution of electrons of an atom or molecule in an atomic or molecular orbit. Chemical bonding. The Lewis structure is a structural representation of a molecule where dots are used to show electron position around the atoms, and lines or dots pair represent covalent bonds. The molecular structure is the location of the atoms groups or ions relative to one another in a molecule. Here are some examples of the Lewis structure. This is just a little summary of what we see in all the semester. I hope you understand and I hope you enjoy it.